It's been a minute. I have taken a very long hiatus from a lot of things. More on that in a different video. Today we are here after hours at Haltech, and we are going to be tuning a Haltech S3 powered JZX90 with a vvt-i 1J. All right, so if you guys have followed along in my Instagram stuff at all, this car needed some stuff. It was on a factory ECU. It had factory coils, factory everything. And really, this motor is pretty much factory. So he was having some issues with the factory ECU kind of going in almost like into a limp mode and cutting out the factory drive-by-wire. And there was a lot of weirdness that was going on with it. So he reached out to me, asked me a few questions. I kind of won't say I pushed him in a direction, but obviously with having my experience with Haltech equipment, I told him that would definitely fix his issues. So we opted to do an Nexus S3. I also did a UC10 dash. He bought a direct fit cluster replacement from Injuku Racing. I also opted to do a handful of things that I knew made these JZs super reliable. One was converting it to real drive-by-wire. Yeah. We were going to do the whole like lockout for the factory stuff and all of that, but then you don't have an idle air control valve and it just doesn't work very well. So I opted to get in touch with Outsider Garage. That's who I use on all of my personal stuff. They offered a vvt-i 1J adapter, the same style I used on my Aristo. This thing is really nice because it actually gives you the ability to keep the stock length. So if you already have charge pipes, like this had a Greddy front mount on it, you can use a Bosch Motorsports drive-by-wire throttle that I actually got from Haltech. Outsider Garage makes this piece here. They also make this piece here, but I goofed and ordered the wrong size. And these charge pipes I thought were 2.5 inch, you know, measure twice, buy once. It's 2.75 inch. So luckily I had some tubing. I machined this off and welded on a nice piece of 2 3/4 inch tubing. And I will say that it's kind of good that I did that because it's a little bit longer than the Outsider Garage piece was, which allowed this JZX100 intercooler kit to fit in this 90. A JZX90 and a JZX100 are close, but not exactly the same. It all can be used though. So another example of that is this Koyo radiator. This is a Koyo inflow. You can see right there, that weld right there. It is a triple pass radiator. Absolutely amazing. I believe he got this set up from Toge Factory. It's got their fan shroud on the back of it. And I ended up, he did have a fan switch here because he was using the factory stuff that did not allow for aftermarket fans. But now, was able to get rid of that, put a nice Greddy silicone upper hose on it. It's got a bunch of Koru bits on it, which is really nice. You can see the Haltech R35 coil kit, which is really nice, cleans it all up. And if you're really looking at this thing, it used to have like a throttle cable that came through here. It had a bunch of vacuum switching valves that came through here and a bunch of nipples and stuff that we did not need. So I plugged those. A bunch of stuff we didn't need on here. And it's all gone now, so simplified the whole setup. The other thing that I know works really well is these radium press-ins. So you no longer have to weld on fittings to your valve covers. These just press into the factory stuff and allows you to run over to a catch can, which this one, it's all stock, so really we didn't need anything crazy, and that is a massive line coming off of both of these valve covers. So if you are in factory form, they're more like a 5/8 line outlet, so these are -10, so they're gigantic. Going into this guy over here, so it's air oil separator, just with a vent to atmosphere kit. I mounted it so that you can just unscrew this guy to drain it, and it makes it really easy. Did have to do a delete on the mass airflow sensor, so it used to have a mass airflow sensor right here. And he was talking about doing like a combat eye over here. As far as the rest of the car, it's a beautiful green color, teal color. It did end up doing an exhaust. He had these blast pipes here. This thing is really loud. You guys will find out soon. You'll find out soon. But it's basically straight from the turbo to the blast pipes. There's no muffler. Typically, I like to put a some sort of vibrant resonator in there just to chill these things out a little bit. But this thing, honestly, at full sing, I think you guys are going to be pretty pumped on how it sounds. Let's check out the interior. So on the interior, he's got this Sparco QRT-R just as the driver's seat. And jump in here. You guys can see the UC10. It fits really nice in there. Let's see if I can get it no glare. Honestly, it really updates the look on the interior of this car. And what's really great is they do have a JZX100 style layout. That's all factory. So you can see here, we're going to do some tuning. This has a Serial 9 CD009 conversion kit for a JZ, obviously. It's got their shifter and their shift knob and everything like that. It fits really nicely underneath. I believe this thing has the Serial 9 AK-47 angle kit on it as well. I really haven't driven it that much, and he did all the work. So gonna be a nice little drift car. I guess I didn't mention that. This is a drift car from up in Indiana. And yeah, so he's gonna be driving this thing a lot here very soon. I think he's gonna be really excited with how good this thing runs. I guess really the last thing to do is just get rolling on this thing. So Rick Nelson, one of my coworkers, is actually gonna be tuning it. And he's very familiar with JZs, and honestly, he does a lot of tuning on anything. And he's kind of one of those guys that tunes that doesn't really see it as any specific engine, but how efficient of an air pump it is. So he's like that kind of guy, which is really cool. Rick and I get along really great, and we know where to stop, and he knows that I know how it's supposed to sound, feel, smell, all of those things. So we're able to do like remote tuning sessions like this. I'm excited for you guys to hear this thing. I'm pumped. I did drive it on the base map from my shop to Haltech. So I'll insert a clip here. Driving the JZX90 directly off the Rebel JZ base map, running on a Haltech Nexus S3. Works pretty good. From that, which was really pretty darn cool. Let's get tuning. Okay, one thing that I just remembered that I failed to mention. When you're working on your JZs and you decide to take the valve covers off, do yourself a favor and change the valve cover gaskets. Get OEM Toyota, get the OEM gaskets, the little grommets that go on there, and then only go like a half a turn all the way around like 4 or 5 times until it makes like basically any resistance. We had a little issue. These valve covers have been painted. Somebody had taken them off, put them back on. And I think when the thing actually got hot for the first time, it broke a corner off a valve cover. And it was actually on the way here. So like I had cleaned everything up and it flooded the valley where all the plugs and everything were it was all oily and nasty. So I welded it all back up, got it happy, put it all back together, put some new valve cover gaskets on it. So he's good to go now. Just a word to the wise for your JZs. Don't go crazy on your valve covers. You're gonna break them and you're gonna have to pay somebody like me to weld it back together before, or you'll have a giant oil leak. Don't do it. Fires and oil and hot stuff, and it's just all bad. Don't do it, and messes are awful. Keep your engines clean. All right, so right now we're going to knock out some of the steady state tuning on this vvt-i 1J. If you know anything about a vvt-i 1J with a stock turbo, you're kind of limited on how much boost you can run. We are starting at 2,000 RPMs, running through the entirety of the throttle position range, and it's starting off at about 10 pounds, so it'll be on wastegate. We do have a boost controller, so we will be turning it up a little bit. So we're just going to run through some steady state first. All right, so one of the things that you guys need to watch out for is these cam phasers. This one just got stuck. This motor is sat for a lot of years. You can see the corrosion down in there. I cleaned it as best as I could. I think we're gonna be okay, but let's get back to doing some steady state. The cam phaser seems to be, the solenoid seems to be a little sticky. Like I said, this motor is sat for a lot of years. He may end up needing to buy a cam phaser. We're gonna lock it at 0. Tune this thing like it's a fixed timing JZ. Honestly, the turbo comes on so fast it doesn't really need it, but let's get to doing some stuff. So after all the steady state tuning, we're going to do our first power pull, see what it does. Well, I'm not mad about that. 298, 10 pounds of boost. I mean, we'll put some boost in it, check the timing. I mean, this thing's gonna be pretty sweet. So that was a timing sanity check. We took 2 degrees out. Lost some power, means we're going in the right direction. It might actually be just like dead on right for pump gas and the boost levels we're at. Turns out the thing made about 13 to 16 pounds, depending on, it might have spiked a little bit, but like about 13 pounds was what it really was making. So as you guys can see, Rick is going to feed this thing with about 50% duty cycle now. So I guess we'll try it again. Yeah, I think we'll see. Well, I guess we're going to try 80% duty cycle now. See what it does. It could be that this turbo is just with the way that it has back pressure and stuff when you have a small turbo on a car, which makes it nice and responsive, but sometimes it'll blow the wastegate open whether you want it to or not. So, see what this thing does. Well, interesting. Alright, I'm walking out here because this was funny. So we were doing a sanity check on the boost control solenoid because it wasn't making any changes. Sorry about the sun, Jesus. Pull the wastegate line off. It made plenty of boost, but I lifted, so it didn't hurt anything. Fuel map still looked great, but we won't be doing that. We're going to do a little diag. Okay, so oopsie poopsie on me. On the solenoid, the orientation of the actual lines matters. I have them backwards. So it's just basically always bypassing, like directly into the wastegate, so it's always making wastegate. So wastegate is somewhere between 15 and 13 pounds. I'm gonna do some swapping. Okay, temporary fix. Lines are swapped. I'll remount this thing nicer later, but I want to make sure it's not going to go into the hot things over there. Let's see if this thing can make a little more boost, but not that much boost. As you guys can see, it was headed for the moon, and we don't want to go to the moon. We've been there, and this car doesn't need to go there. It just doesn't need to go to the moon. It looks like we've got some more mid-range, same horsepower basically, 55% duty cycle. Basically this tells us that up top the turbo is pretty much out of steam. Making about 18 pounds, which probably will take a little out just to make sure everything's good. The other issue is we are out of injectors. Factory injectors are not going to be enough for big power on even on pump gas. So I know he has plans to do, like, I'm pretty sure he's going to do a radium rail, some ID injectors. I already set the harness up for flex fuel, so that should be really helpful for the future, and then Rick can jump back in there and do his magic and make more horsepower. Yeah guys, so what Rick was just explaining to me, as you see right here, even without the cam timing working properly, this thing's still bringing boost in super fast, and boost is here. and you can see it tapers off. The blue line, however, is the one we need to watch out for, because that is our injector duty cycle. And we are all the way up here, max effort on that. And we are at max effort on the turbo, because you can see it peaks at 18 and then starts dropping off. That's just the small turbo characteristic. We're gonna back the duty cycle off just a little bit, just to make sure that we don't want it to be at 100% duty cycle on the injectors. If this thing had had an aftermarket fuel pressure regulator, we could have bumped the base pressure up a little bit and kind of fudged the injectors. He doesn't. It's all factory. So we're kind of stuck where we're at, which is okay, because it's, again, factory turbo, factory fuel system. It does have a aftermarket fuel pump in it that I installed, so at least I know it's got plenty of pump. He kind of wanted to do a few of the like keep it safe mods instead of doing the fuel pressure, oil pressure, flex fuel, all of that right now. So we did like radium catch can setup and drive-by-wire and stuff like that. So we spent the money in a different place to kind of future-proof things, and now he can take over and do some of the mechanical himself, and then revisit the tune with Rick later. So might do one more just so I can have the camera outside the car. You guys can at least see this thing. We'll do one in front of the car, and then I'll do a camera angle from the back so you guys can hear it. But we're pretty much done. It was that fast. Just like that, we're done. So I will tell you guys, we did start with a Rebel JZ Wizard that we have imported into an S3. So we cheated a little, but that is really more of a testament to the Haltech Rebel Wizards. That, like, I know on my car, the Rebel LS has an incredible Wizard. If you've got an NA LS with good injectors and stuff, you almost, disclaimer, almost don't really need a dyno. Yeah, pretty amazing. Gotta get this thing off of the dyno, and then it's getting kind of pretty outside, so we might go outside, do some B-roll of it, but we're pretty much done. Thanks for sticking around for this thing. Happy to be back. We'll be doing more videos soon. I'm really trying to get back in the swing of things. One of the next videos is going to kind of break down where the hell I've been. Kind of a big story, kind of a sad story, but you know what? We're making lemonade out of lemons and whatever else they say, orange juice out of oranges. Yeah, so I guess cut to the B-roll. See you guys soon.